Shalom. Today, I'm going to share with you something that has been quietly preserved inside the oldest and most powerful spiritual tradition on earth. A secret so precise, so extraordinary, and so deliberately hidden in plain sight that when you finally hear it today, something deep inside your chest is going to shift. Not because this is entertainment, not because this is motivation, but because somewhere in the quiet, honest corner of your heart, you already know that something has been missing. You have been working. You have been trying. You have been showing up every single day, doing everything you were told to do. And yet, true lasting abundance has felt like it is always just one step ahead of you, like a blessing that keeps arriving for someone else, like a door that keeps moving every time you get close enough to reach it. And in the most honest corner of your heart, you have quietly asked God, "What about me? When is it my turn? What am I missing?" Today, right now, in this moment, you are about to receive your answer, because what you have been missing is not harder work. It is not a better strategy. It is not more hustle or more sacrifice. What you have been missing is a prayer. One specific ancient prayer, a 602nd prayer that was given to the world thousands of years ago through the wisest and most prosperous tradition in human history, and it is going to change everything for you from this day forward. Welcome to Wealth Secrets with Rabbi, where we uncover the hidden Torah teachings, Kabbalah wisdom, and ancient Jewish prosperity secrets that have guided Jewish families to generational wealth for thousands of years. Before we go deeper, I want you to do something right now. In the comments below, write these 4 words: "I am ready to receive," because in Torah, the beginning of manifestation. The moment you write those words, you are not simply leaving a comment, you are making a covenant. You are telling heaven that you are no longer closed, that you are no longer hoping quietly and silently in private. You are declaring it out loud, with your full intention behind it. Write those 4 words and then come back, because what I'm about to share with you is unlike anything you have heard before. I want to take you back further than motivational speeches and financial books and morning routines, back before any of that existed, back to ancient Jerusalem, a city built on a hill that the ancients believed sat at the very center of the world, a city where scholars sat for decades over sacred texts that contained the divine blueprints of reality, where prayers were not wishes. They were precise, spiritually engineered instruments designed to open specific channels between heaven and earth. And in this extraordinary body of wisdom, in this ancient and sacred Jewish teaching, there was a concept that sat at the very heart of everything, a concept that explained why some people seemed to live with provision flowing toward them like a river, while others worked twice as hard and received half as much. That concept had a name: Parnassah. If you have never heard that word before, hold it gently, because it is one of the most important words you will ever encounter on your journey toward real and lasting abundance. Parnassah is a Hebrew word, ancient and layered and rich with meaning. It translates roughly as divine livelihood, but that translation does not fully capture what it means. Because in our modern world, when we say livelihood, we think of income, we think of salary, we think of money coming in each month to cover the bills. But Parnassah is so much greater than that. Parnassah is the Torah teaching that every single human being alive has a specific portion of abundance that has already been set aside for them by God, not by the economy, not by their employer, not by their education or their background or the family they were born into, by God. The ancient rabbis, the great teachers and scholars who spent their entire lives meditating on these divine truths, taught that before a soul even enters the world, God has already designated that soul's portion of provision, has already written into the very fabric of existence exactly what that person is meant to receive in this lifetime, not as a limitation, not as a ceiling, but as a promise, as a covenant, as a divine inheritance that belongs to that soul, and only that soul, waiting to be claimed. And here is where the ancient teaching becomes extraordinarily relevant to your life right now, today, because the rabbis also taught something else, something that changes absolutely everything. They taught that while the portion is already set, while the promise is already written, the timing of when it arrives, the speed at which it flows to you, the fullness with which it manifests in your physical life, that is not fixed, that is movable, that is directly responsive to something you do. And what is that something? Prayer. Specifically, precisely, powerfully intentional prayer. Let me tell you about a king. Not a metaphorical king, a real man who walked this earth, breathed real air, and faced real pressures just like you do. His name was Solomon, and if you know anything about history, you know that Solomon was considered the single wisest human being who ever lived. But what most people do not fully understand about Solomon is where that wisdom came from. What most people skip over is the single moment that changed everything for him. Because Solomon, at the beginning of his reign, was afraid. He was young. He had inherited an extraordinary kingdom of immense weight and complexity. And one night, God appeared to him and offered him something that has been offered to very few human beings in recorded history. God said, "Ask me for anything, anything you want, wealth, long life, power, fame, the destruction of your enemies. Ask, and it will be given." And Solomon stood in that moment, this young king with the weight of an entire nation on his shoulders, with every possible desire available to him for the asking. And you know what he chose? He did not ask for gold. He did not ask for silver, or land, or military victory. Solomon looked at God and said, "Give me wisdom, give me a discerning heart, so that I can lead this people well, so that I can know the difference between right and wrong, so that I can govern with understanding and not just power." That was his prayer. One request aligned not with his own ego, or his own fear, or his own sense of lack, but with something higher, something divine, something that positioned him as a vessel for God's purposes rather than merely a consumer of God's blessings. And the response from heaven was immediate and overwhelming. God said to Solomon, "Because you did not ask for wealth, or long life, or the defeat of your enemies, but instead you asked for wisdom and understanding to do what is right, not only will I give you what you asked for, but I will give you everything you did not ask for as well. Wealth, honor, fame, a name greater than any king before or after you, everything poured out lavishly and freely, because Solomon prayed the right prayer." And this is the part that should make your heart beat a little faster, because Solomon's prayer was not long, it was not complicated, it was not filled with impressive religious language. It was honest, it was aligned, it was offered from a place of genuine humility and genuine desire to be in right relationship with the source of all abundance. And the ancient Torah teachers who studied his life for generations came to a conclusion that fundamentally reframes everything you have been taught about wealth and prayer. They concluded that the prayer that opens the floodgates of heaven is not the prayer of desperation. It is not the prayer of a person begging God to pity them and rescue them. Those prayers come from a place of lack, and they reinforce the frequency of lack. The prayer that opens heaven is the prayer of alignment, the prayer that says, "God, I trust that you have already set aside my portion. I trust that my parnassa is real, and it is waiting. I am not asking you to create something new. I am asking you to clear the channel. Remove from my life everything that is blocking what has already been designated for me. Align my thoughts, my words, my actions, and my spirit with the frequency of the abundance that already has my name on it." That is the prayer. That is the difference. That is what Solomon knew that most people seeking wealth will never understand: the spiritual blockage. Now, I want to say something that might feel uncomfortably personal. I know that you have experienced seasons in your life where abundance was flowing, where things were working, where doors were opening, and opportunities were arriving, and you felt completely alive and aligned, and like the universe was working in your favor. And then something shifted, and the flow slowed or stopped. And you have been trying to figure out ever since what you did wrong, whether you missed something, whether the season of blessing is simply over, and you just have to accept a smaller life than the one you once glimpsed. I need you to hear this directly and without hesitation. You did not do anything wrong. The blessing did not go anywhere. The channel did not close. What happened is something that the ancient rabbis described with stunning precision thousands of years ago. They called it a spiritual blockage, a barrier that forms not because God withdraws, but because we, through fear, through doubt, through unresolved disappointment, through words spoken in moments of hopelessness, we build up a kind of spiritual accumulation that narrows the channel through which our Parnassah flows. The portion is still there, the promise is still written, but the pipe is clogged. And this specific ancient prayer, the 602nd prayer I'm about to share with you, is designed to dissolve that blockage, to restore the flow, to widen the channel, and let what has always been yours begin moving toward you again with the speed and force it was always meant to carry. But before I give you this prayer, I need to tell you something about its nature that will determine whether it works for you or not. The ancient Torah teachers called it kavanah, and kavanah means intention, full, complete, undistracted, wholehearted intention. The rabbis were absolutely clear about this. They said that a prayer spoken without kavanah is like a body without a soul. It has the shape of the thing, but it has no life in it, no power, no movement. So, before you receive this prayer, I want to prepare your inner world for it. Take one slow, deep breath. Let it all the way in. Hold it for a moment, and let it all the way out. As you exhale, release consciously and deliberately every worry about money you carried into this moment, every fear about bills, every anxiety about the future, every memory of financial difficulty that has been whispering that the past will repeat itself. Let it go with the breath, not because the situation is not real, but because for the next 60 seconds you are stepping out of the story of your circumstances and into the truth of your divine portion. And now, here are the words. Read them slowly, speak them out loud if you are able, and if you cannot speak aloud, say them with your full inner voice turned all the way up. The ancient 602nd prayer. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who nourishes the entire world in goodness, with grace, with kindness, and with compassion. You give bread to all flesh, for your kindness endures forever. And in your great goodness we have never lacked. And may we never lack nourishment, for the sake of your great name. For you nourish and sustain all, and you do good to all, and you prepare provision for all your creatures which you have created. Blessed are you, God, who nourishes all. May the Merciful One bless me and all that belongs to me, as our forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were blessed, in everything, from everything, with everything. So may God bless me completely and fully, and let us say, Amen. May God bless you and protect you. May God cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May God lift his face toward you and grant you peace and abundance and the fullness of every promise that has been written over your life since before you were born. Stay in that for a moment. Do not rush away from it. Let the words settle into you slowly and deeply, finding every dry and cracked place in your spirit and filling it. Because what just happened, if you were truly present, if your kavanah was real, was not merely a recitation, it was an opening. It was the spiritual equivalent of turning a key in a lock that has been waiting, perhaps for years, for exactly this moment, exactly this level of readiness in you. The ancient teachers described the moment of true, aligned, intentional prayer as the moment when the soul makes contact with its source, a transmission in both directions, from you to heaven and from heaven back to you. A recognition, a reunion, the portion saying to the soul, "I have been here the whole time," and the soul saying, "I know, I am here now, and I am ready." Now, I need to place one final piece of ancient wisdom in your hands, because this prayer alone is extraordinarily powerful. But paired with this understanding, it becomes something else entirely. The great Talmudic scholars taught something that has echoed across thousands of years and lands here today for you specifically. They said that the channel of Parnassa is a two-way channel, that abundance does not only flow in, it flows through. And the health of that channel, the width of it, the speed of the flow, is directly connected to how you treat what flows through your hands on its way to others. In Hebrew, this is called tzedakah, often translated as charity, but that translation is incomplete, because tzedakah comes from the Hebrew root tzedek, meaning righteousness and justice. And the teaching is this: the portion that flows through your hands to bless another person was never your money. It was always that person's portion, passing through you on its way to them. And how you handle that passage, with an open hand or a clenched fist, determines the width of the channel through which your own Parnassa arrives. This is not a transaction. This is not a trick to get more by giving more. This is a spiritual law, as consistent and reliable as gravity itself. The ancient prophet Malachi spoke in the voice of God, declaring, "Bring the tithe into the storehouse. Test me in this. See if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you will not have room enough to contain it." Not a trickle, not a modest improvement, a flood, an overflow, more than you can hold. That is the promise. That is what waits on the other side of this prayer. That is what awaits you on the other side of 60 seconds of your most honest and wholehearted intention. Now, I want to tell you something about what happens next, because this is where many people make a critical mistake that keeps them from seeing the full manifestation of what this prayer sets in motion. They pray once, they feel the warmth of it, they feel the shift in their spirit, and then they walk back out into their day and return to the same patterns, the same scarcity thinking, the same fearful decisions, the same internal story of lack running quietly in the background. And they wonder why the prayer did not work. But the prayer did work. The prayer always works when offered with true kavanah. What did not work was the daily practice of maintaining the alignment that the prayer opened, because Parnassa is not a one-time event, it is a flow, and a flow requires a consistently open channel. This prayer is meant to be your daily 60 seconds, not a religious obligation, not a ritual checkbox, but a daily recalibration, a daily return to the truth of your divine portion, a daily act of choosing the language of abundance over the language of lack, of choosing faith over fear, of choosing the promise of heaven over the evidence of your current circumstances. Every single day, for 60 seconds, you step into the truth of what God has already written over your life. And every single day, that truth becomes a little more visible in your circumstances, a little more real in your experience, a little more manifest in the physical world around you. Until one day, and that day is coming for you, you wake up and look around and realize that the abundance you spent so long seeking has quietly, steadily, and faithfully been arriving all along. Not with fanfare, not all at once, but consistently and reliably, the way a great river flows, never stopping, never reversing, just flowing as it was always meant to flow, toward you, through you, and out through your open hands into the world around you. So, here is what I want you to do when this teaching ends. Say the prayer again, right now, One more time before you return to your day. Say it slowly. Say every word like you mean it, because you do mean it, because this is the cry of your soul dressed in the clothing of ancient and beautiful Torah words. And then, tomorrow morning, before your feet touch the floor, before your phone unlocks, before the world rushes in with all its noise and demand, take 60 seconds. 60 seconds for yourself, for your parnassah, for the promise that has your name on it. Speak the prayer, open the channel, and then go live your day as someone whose portion is real, whose blessing is written, and whose God does not break his word. Write in the comments below, "I am ready to receive," and let that declaration go before heaven today. And if someone you love has been carrying the weight of financial struggle, share this video with them, because somewhere in your life there is a person sitting in the same quiet uncertainty you may have been sitting in before today, waiting for someone to tell them that their parnassah is real, that their prayer matters, that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is leaning toward their life right now, with the fullness of heaven ready to be poured out, the moment they open their mouth and declare with their whole heart, "I am ready to receive." Subscribe to Wealth Secrets with Rabbi and hit the notification bell so you never miss another ancient Jewish prosperity teaching. Next week, I will reveal the ancient Kabbalistic practice of Havdalah and how Jewish families have used this sacred Saturday night ritual to open the channel of financial blessing for the entire week ahead. Until then, remember, your portion is real, your blessing is written, your God is faithful. The floodgates are already positioned above the life that has your name on it. All it takes is 60 seconds of your most honest, open, and fully present self, saying the words that align your soul with what heaven has been holding for you all along. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe. Shalom.